but the towering flames and biting smoke made it difficult for us amateur firemen. Even the damp rags we had used to cover our mouth and nose didn't help much. I was amazed that the water tanks were still full of water, since we had had a water shortage for quite some time. About 3 months before we arrived in Yemen, the city had done a lot of construction work, because the president, his son-in-law, who was the governor of Hadramaut, and all his ministers were coming to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the reunification of North and South Yemen. The construction work had damaged many of the water pipes in Mukalla, allowing much of the city's water supply to leak out. Whatever water remained was used for mixing cement and building new streets. They also planted trees and bushes along the entire road leading to the airport. Keeping things green here was, however, a huge waste of precious water. Since the work had begun, water had had to be transported in tank trucks from far away to fill the water tanks in the city. The fire was still crackling loudly when we heard somebody impatiently pounding on our gate. "Salam alaikum! Peace be with you! Open up! We want to help!" It was Fuad, our young neighbor from across the street. "I can't. It's too hot. The car could explode any minute. I can't get past the fire." Chris was thankful for the offer, but he was also very frustrated. All of a sudden, the car horn began to blow. It was as if it were sending out a continuous distress signal. A cold shiver ran down my spine, and I screamed, "Chris! Chris! Chris!" Suddenly, the car engine started up. I screamed even louder. The car rolled a few feet forward toward the gate. It was strange. I was still on the roof looking down at this strange happening. I couldn't see very well due to the thick smoke, but I thought maybe Chris had jumped into the burning car to try to get it away from the house and protect his family. Perhaps he was unconscious with his head on the wheel. That would explain the incessant honking of the horn. My face grew pale, and I feared I was losing my balance. I panicked. "Chris, where are you?" My desperate cry echoed across the roofs of the sleeping city. Chapter 1. First Visit to the Valley of Death in October 1999. Our 2 sons, David, 5, and Martin, 3, pressed their faces to the window of the Yemeni Airways Boeing 737. They certainly didn't want to miss the fascinating sight of the Oriental airfield, brightly illuminated in the blackness of the night. We were about to land in a mysterious Arab city. Our boys were not the least tired, in spite of the hours-long flight, and I envied them for their endless energy. The flight attendant smiled and didn't even attempt to get our playful boys to buckle up for the landing. I guess she sensed that they would undo their belts again anyway as soon as she turned her back. My mind was buzzing with thoughts about this amazing country in which we were just about to land. It was called the home of the Queen of Sheba. But I felt a joyful anticipation rising within me. I could hardly wait to get to know this country of Bedouin tribes, ingenious architectural structures, and amiable, hospitable people. Of course, we had heard that there were radical and extremist Islamist groups here in this country, which is probably the most impoverished on the Arabian Peninsula. The world press had often run headlines about al-Qaeda attacks or tragic ransom situations here. But we were not afraid. After all, we were young, enthusiastic, and full of idealism, and we were coming as ambassadors of the Most High God. A couple of young German-speaking pioneers had invited us to visit the Yemeni province of Hadramaut, which means the Valley of Death. They asked us to consider moving there soon, since they were beginning a project for which our talents and skills could prove helpful. We couldn't have imagined what was waiting for us in this undeveloped region. 6 years earlier, before Yemen was in our thoughts, I had had a dream. In this dream, I had to stay home while my husband was in a disaster area that was constantly in the news. Every day there were reports of casualties, and I wasn't even sure if he was still...